Hey, I am Sage, but you can just call me a wit. Honestly, that is what basically everyone in this town calls me anyway. My parents run a funeral home called Black Rose, and some of the highly superstitious people around here think our business is a terrible omen. And by some people, I actually mean the entire town. I always roll my eyes whenever I think about how ridiculous they are. Everything about us just looks a little too spooky and weird to them. If you saw our house, you would totally get it. It has this creepy monster house vibe with thick green vines and sharp, thorny black rose bushes wrapping all over the wall. It looks like a dark, gloomy fort sitting right in the middle of a perfectly neat, bright dollhouse neighborhood. I did try my best to make friends with the other neighborhood kids when I was younger, but it never really worked out. I still remember when I was about 10 years old, I walked up to a group of kids playing on the street, smiling and offering to share a batch of fresh cookies I had made. The moment they saw me, their eyes went wide with terror, and they scrambled away as fast as their legs could carry them. One little boy screamed at the top of his lungs, warning the others not to eat the cookies because they were poisoned. I stood there holding the warm plate, feeling incredibly lonely and confused about why they hated me so much. Despite how cruel everyone was, my mom and dad always found their work at the funeral home deeply meaningful, and they put so much of their hearts into it. I can still picture them standing in the pouring rain at a recent service, gently placing beautiful flowers on top of a polished wooden coffin. They are incredibly emotional people, sometimes even crying much closer than the actual family of the deceased. I guess the real reason they get so choked up is because they know exactly what it feels like to lose someone they love more than life itself. My little sister Leah went missing 5 years ago, and to this day I still feel like it was entirely my fault. We were at a crowded market fair, laughing and standing in front of an ice cream cart to buy our favorite treat. I turned my back for just a few seconds to pay the vendor, but when I turned back around, Leah had completely vanished into the crowd. We searched every single corner of those fairgrounds, and we have kept looking for her for 5 long years, but we still have not found a single trace of her. It was an absolutely heartbreaking time for my family, but instead of showing us any kind of sympathy or support, our awful neighbors just started spreading the most absurd rumors about why Leah disappeared. As we walked down the street, handing out missing child flyers with tired eyes, people would gather in small groups to whisper behind our back. Some of them whispered that the devil himself had taken her, while others claimed we had sacrificed my sweet little sister in some kind of dark, hidden ritual. Those heartless people were never going to change their minds about us. So one day, I just decided to give them exactly what they want. I turned around to face a gossiping crowd, twisted my face, and pretended to be violently possessed by a spirit. The neighbors gasped in absolute horror and scrambled away in a wild panic, running in every direction. At least it kept them away from us. This is why no one dares to bother me nowadays, as they do not want to be cursed. I was sitting on the stairs of our porch when a small stone suddenly hit me on the head. I looked up to see a boy holding a slingshot, looking terrified. He stuttered an apology, saying they were only trying to catch a bird, and pointed to our black rose bushes. Another boy begged me not to curse them. I looked and saw an injured bird tangled in the branches. I gave the boys a death stare and warned them that if they hurt an innocent creature again, I would turn them into one and see how they liked having stones shot at them. Their faces went pale and they bolted. I carefully untangled the bird and brought it to my forest house. This is my secret hideout deep in the forest, where I grow herbs to heal animals. I ground some herbs and applied them to the bird's wing. I noticed a name tag on its leg with the name Sky and an address. I told Sky she must like sneaking out, but the world was too dangerous, so I should bring her home. I followed the address, left her cage on the porch, rang the bell, and walked away. I figured the owner would not be happy to see a rumored witch, so it was better not to show myself. At school, no one wanted anything to do with me. Other students dodged to both sides of the hallway when they saw me. In the library, everyone at my table ran away when I sat down. I smirked, enjoying the quiet space, and read a book on how to turn someone into a pig. Suddenly, a guy sat opposite me. He pretended to read, but kept peeking at me. Annoyed, I slammed my book shut and left. He followed me into the hallway, asking if I was Sage, and said he was Mark from our English class. I coldly asked why I should know his name. He stuttered, saying he just wanted to talk. I made a scary face and warned him that if he did not want diarrhea, sleep paralysis, or rashes, he should never talk to me again. I turned to leave, but tripped and fell forward. Mark caught me by the waist, asking if I was all right. I blushed, pushed him away, and ran off, leaving him there. Then I came home to find an angry crowd gathered right in front of my house. A man with dark circles under his eyes from insomnia was yelling at my mom, demanding to know what kind of dark magic she was practicing, because those eerie sounds were keeping them awake at night. Another woman with nearly burned hair angrily complained claimed that our black sorcery had made her curling iron overheat and burn her hair, claiming some demonic influence must be messing around. It turned out strange things were happening to every house in the neighborhood, so these superstitious people blamed my family for everything, and even wanted to kick us out. My mom started crying, sobbing that we could not move, because we had to stay and wait here for Leah. But the man rudely shouted back that my sister was with the devil now, that she was obviously never coming back, and told us to just go away. I angrily walked right up to them with tears stinging my eye. Grunting in a low, furious voice, I told them never to talk about my sister like that again and ordered them to get out of there. Coincidentally, a loud rumble of thunder shook the sky right at that moment. Horrified, the crowd started pointing at me and calling me a witch. Fortunately, Mr. Thompson, the town's mayor, appeared with the police and ordered everyone to go home for their own safety, saying he would take it from there. In our living room, the mayor sat down with my parents and me. He offered to help our family move away in peace, claiming it was best for everyone and promising we would be informed immediately if my sister ever came back. After he left, my parents actually seemed to be considering. I could not believe what was happening. We did nothing wrong, so why should we leave? I yelled that I was not going anywhere, and then I rushed out of the house crying. My parents might be weak, but I was not. I ran all the way to my forest house, deciding I would wait for my sister there. I was feeding milk to some stray cats while crying when I suddenly saw a sweet illusion of 4-year-old Leah petting the cats beside me. She had once promised me she would help me care for these poor creatures. I knew she would be back. Suddenly, a loud sneeze startled me. It sounded like a guy. I quickly wiped away my tears, put on a serious face, and demanded to know who was hiding there, telling them to show themselves. I heard a girl named Meg irritably whispering to a boy named Nick in their hiding spot, calling him an idiot and telling him to go out alone. I sternly ordered both of them to come out right now. They shyly stepped out and I squinted at them suspiciously. They looked familiar. Right, they were Meg and Nick, the infamous best friend duo from my school. It turned out they were curious about the strange phenomena happening at Meg's house too, and wanted to see if I was actually using witchcraft to cause it. Meg admitted they did not expect to see me healing animals here. Nick then asked why I let people think I was a witch. I told them I did not care if people called me a witch, an alien, or anything else, as long as they left me alone. I added that I hated when people annoyed me, which was exactly what they were doing, and told them to stop following me and never come back, but they did not leave. Instead, Meg told me about a black rose that was always left at the scene of every incident, which of course reminded the townsfolk of my family. Nick pointed out that it made no sense, because if it really were us, we would never make it that obvious. That made me think. Someone was clearly trying to frame us. If I could find that person, my family could finally live in peace. Meg got excited and suggested we investigate together to catch the bad guy like a detective squad. I interrupted her, joking that she had been watching way too much Scooby-Doo, and asked why they were not even scared of me. Meg giggled, saying she would make a great Daphne, and pointed out they had just seen me feeding stray cats. She smiled and said that even if I were a witch, I must be a kind one. The next morning, I was heading downstairs when I heard chattering. Annoyed, I thought that those angry townsfolk were back. But instead, I found my parents warmly welcoming Meg and Nick. Since this was the first time friends had ever visited, my parents were completely overreacting with excited faces, leaving my classmates looking shy and confused. I quickly pulled them out of the house, asking in an angry voice if disturbing me had become a daily habit. Meg replied that they did not know how else to contact me, while Nick explained that they wanted to introduce me to an IT expert who had agreed to help. Suddenly, a guy stepped out from behind our black rose bush. I was surprised to see it was Mark, the guy from the library. He smiled and said it was good to see me again, hoping I would remember his name this time. Later, in the school library, Mark was typing intensely on his laptop, explaining to Nick how he could get data from the neighborhood camera. It sounded like an alien language to me. Meg excitedly pulled me down to sit next to him, winking and asking if Mark was not awesome. Flustered, I mumbled that I guessed so. Mark blushed, cleared his throat, and explained that someone had hacked the house's networks to make their appliances go haywire. He added that every night at 11 sharp, the cameras were disconnected just long enough for someone to leave a black rose unnoticed. Nick asked if he could track the hacker's IP address. Mark kept typing and confirmed he could find the coordinates. Meg gasped, pointing out that the location was Clara's house. I was stunned. Clara was the school drama queen who always whispered rumors about me practicing magic. Did she really hate me enough to target my entire family? After school, we reached out to Clara to talk privately, but she flatly denied everything. She laughed and asked Nick and Meg if I had hypnotized them into becoming my slave, mockingly telling them to blink twice if they needed help. Nick showed her his laptop screen, saying we had proof she could not get away with it. Clara got defensive, claiming we were threatening her and that she would tell her father. Meg scoffed. asking if Clara thought she was a big deal just because her father was the mayor. But Clara told us to watch out and walked away. I watched her leave, surprised to learn she was the mayor's daughter. Meg complained about her attitude and mentioned how Clara had embarrassed herself last year after Mark rejected her, adding that Mark was actually the most popular guy in school. Mark quickly turned to me, looking flustered, and muttered that he was not interested in those girls. I felt confused and told him he did not have to explain himself to me because I did not care. An awkward silence fell over us until Nick suggested we stalk Clara to catch her red-handed. Around 11 that night, we waited outside Clara's house. I was getting annoyed and wanted to leave, but Mark suddenly stopped me when someone in black clothes and a mask sneaked out. Nick quickly grabbed the person, and Meg asked if Clara was still going to deny. However, when Mark pulled off the mask, we were shocked to see a strange man. The man suddenly broke free from Nick, punched Mark in the face, and ran off. Meg and Nick chased after him, telling me to take the injured Mark home. I helped Mark back to his house, which felt strangely familiar. Once inside, my suspicion was confirmed when Sky, the bird I had saved, flew onto my shoulder. As I bandaged Mark's face, he explained that he had seen me bring Sky back and was deeply impressed by the care instructions I had left. He said he knew everyone was wrong about me and wanted to thank me and be my friend. Feeling flustered, I mumbled that I was not someone who could make friends and quickly left. The next day, Mark helped us arrange a meeting with Clara at the cozy cafe where he worked. When Clara heard about the strange man sneaking out of her house the night before, her arrogant expression completely vanished, leaving her looking visibly shaken. She stammered that the man was probably just one of her father's staff members. However, when Meg asked her to help us figure out what was going on, Clara stubbornly refused and quickly walked out of the cafe. We had hit another dead end, but Mark smiled and told us not to worry because he already had a solution in mind. Before he could explain his plan, the cafe owner marched over to our table, looking incredibly angry. He glared at me and claimed that more spooky things were happening in town, before demanding that I leave his establishment immediately. He explained that the ancient holy statue, our town's sacred symbol sitting in the middle of the square, had been found broke, with another black rose left at the scene. Meg and Nick immediately jumped out of their chairs to defend me, but the owner refused to listen to a single word. He even turned his anger toward Mark, forbidding him from hanging out with me, and threatened to fire him on the spot if he did not comply. Feeling a lump in my throat, I stood up and told everyone that I would leave right away. It was just as I thought. I was simply not good at making friends, and being around me only brought people trouble. I ran out of the cafe toward the nearby bus stop, wiping away my tears so no one would see me crying. But just as the city bus pulled up and opened its doors, a warm hand suddenly grabbed mine. Before I could even react, I was gently pulled onto the bus. I looked up in absolute shock to see Mark standing right next to me. As we sat down on the moving bus, I looked at Mark in a panic, asking what he was doing and warning him that his boss would fire him. Mark just smiled and replied that he had already quit, joking that a boss like that did not deserve to fire him anyway. I looked down, whispering that this was all my fault, but Mark shook his head, telling me not to worry because he had plenty of other jobs, like dog walking or babysitting, to make money. Curious, I asked what the money was for. He just looked out the window and told me this bus would take me to the answer. We got off at the last stop, which was an orphanage. I realized Mark had been donating his hard-earned money to these children. He looked at me and asked me to promise that I would show them my true, kind side. At first, I was unsure, but I gradually opened up and started playing with the sweet kid. I could feel Mark watching me with warm, smitten eyes. Suddenly, I froze. Watching the other children from afar was a familiar figure. It was Leah, my little sister. The nuns explained that 5 years ago, they found a lost, terrified girl wandering by the bus stop. She could not remember her family and only muttered words like funeral or dead people, so they assumed her parents had passed away and took her in. She had always struggled to blend in. Seeing how Leah pushed others away, I saw myself in her, and I knew she should not live her life the same lonely way I did. I called my parents, and they came to pick us up right away. It was the most emotional, tearful reunion of the century. While my mom and dad were hugging Leah, I turned to Mark with tears in my eyes, thanking him because we only found my sister thanks to him. Mark smiled, saying he was glad to help, but added that he had one more thing to show me. As it turned out, Mark had bugged Clara's phone at the cafe. He played a recorded call between her and her father, exposing the mayor as the culprit behind all the neighborhood mishap. The mayor wanted to build a shopping mall and needed to clear the land. Using my family's bad reputation as a cover, he played spooky tricks to scare the neighbors into selling their homes for cheap. When Clara found out, she begged him to stop, but he refused. Meg and Nick posted the recording online, causing huge outrage. The police arrested the mayor, and our family's name was finally clear. Our neighbors apologized to us for letting their superstitions blindside them. Touched, my parents forgave everyone and threw a big, slightly creepy funeral-themed party at our house, so my family was finally reunited. Not only did I find my sister, but I also gained 3 great friends. Well, maybe 2 good friends and 1 special person who is definitely more than just a friend.